maybe if I can ask you to mute yourself now, because you know, when we are on location, it's always a little iffy. So not having background is important. And I want to introduce Marco Venturi, who is the owner of Made in Brittany Gallery. We've met Marco a couple of times now. We visited his gallery in London, and then last week we visited the studio of one of his artists, Andrea Salvatori. And today Marco is again taking us back to Italy, to Faenza, to Villa Emaldi. So Marco, I'm going to put the spotlight on you to start with. You can introduce your artist.
Sure. First of all, welcome everyone. It's so nice to see so many of you here and in this one of the first spring morning that we got. So yes, as Isabel was saying, today we go back to in the countryside near to Faenza, the very renowned center for ceramics since the Renaissance time. And specifically, we are in a lovely estate, just a few kilometers away from Faenza, which is Villa Emaldi. Villa Emaldi is where our artist of today lives and work. So today we're going to visit the studio and the showroom of Antonietta Mazzotti Emaldi. Antonietta, she's one of the most exquisite, represents one of the most exquisite expression of contemporary majollica, like how that tradition from the Renaissance is still alive now. So Antonietta is an exquisite, excellent decorator, and you'll see yourself, and I hope you're able to appreciate that. And on top of the decoration part, she's also have a sculptural part to his work, and we'll see that as well. The tour, so we will start in the lovely park of Villa Emaldi Mansion, and the tour will be led by Viola Emaldi, which is our gallery curator, artistic director. Viola is an art historian and specialized in the field of ceramic, and she's really the curatorial mind behind our gallery. On top of that, she's also the daughter of Antonietta Mazzotti Emaldi. So today we are in the Emaldi family. We got Viola leading the tour and showing the work of her mother. The last thing I want to say on my side is that today's visit carries some special feelings for me as well, because Viola and Antonietta, they've been they're really family for me. So the fact that being separated like for so many months due to the pandemic and not be able to be there, I mean, it's got a lot of attachment, you know. And so it would be a pleasure for me as well to see these amazing places. So I think now we can give the word to Viola and put the spotlight on Nicholas, which is doing the videos, Isabel. Here we are.
Is that it? So
yeah.
I just want to ask, can everybody see the spotlight? Because last time I did it only for me. Yeah, it's good. Okay, perfect.
Good. And here we go, Viola in front of Villa Emaldi in the lovely park, and I pass the word to Viola directly. Viola, I think you're on mute.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
So now you can hear me.
Yes.
A bit sad because we had the sun since 10 minutes ago, but we hope it will come back again. But here I am near the daisy. And as Marco said, we are in Villa Emaldi. This is an aristocratic country house that dates the beginning of the 17th century. My family lives here since the beginning because they constructed it. And beside the house, there is the orangerie where the lemon tree normally were stored during the winter. And nowadays it is the studio of my mother. My mother and father began this adventure in this place that already was owned by the family 40 years ago. And Antonietta is the protagonist of our story, so I don't want to speak a lot about the story of the family, but mostly about the story of this woman. But the reason why we are in front of this house is a ceramic reason, because this house dates 18th century at the end, and the style was the eclectic style, so the Liberty one. At the time, ceramic, iron, and the big window glasses were the three most crafted elements to organize architecture and spaces. So the house is fully covered of terracotta bricks, as you can see. The white part are made of iron and the big windows. The same idea, we do that walking to the Orangerie, is for the structure that now is a manufacturer of majollica. And it is a good space because it has a lot of this big window permits to a big light to enter inside. So the showroom is in the big space, and in the back side we will see all the technical and productive parts of this craft process. As you can see from this side of the house, Nicholas, come with me so you can show all the back of the house. You see the family that began at the end of 15th century with a little house that was used for animal covers and horses. And then the first part of the villa was in the 17th century. And the last, the newest part, as we told, is this one that you can see with the Gothic windows. The same kind of Gothic windows is in the Orangerie. And it is a pleasure now to show you the work of Antonietta.
Viola, did you grow up in this place?
Yeah, I grew up in this place because my family constructed this house 5 centuries ago. At the beginning, it was owned by my family, but it was given to another family that organized only the country, because here we have different activities. We are 3 brothers, but my father is an aristocratic farmer, and she also rules in the back of the house because we have a lot of cultivation of fruits like peaches, apricots, and kaki that are typical of this region. But my father is also an historical expert of ancient ceramic since the medieval age to 18th century. And he fell in love with my mother because of ceramic, because she studied ceramics since she was 8 years in this famous school of Faenza that I told you also about. The artist of last week, Andrea Salvatori too, was formed in the school. After the school, she opened a little studio, and my father, young father, went there because ceramic is collected starting from excaving, because at the time, from the medieval age to the Renaissance period, they hided ceramic. The old potters has something like holes beside their studios, and ceramic, when were broken or not well done, they were thrown these holes. So history of ceramic has been reconnected to the use and to the real destination thanks to this kind of archaeology. So fragments are the beginning of the study of majollica in Italy, and my father was connected to the museum for this archaeological way of understanding ceramics. So they needed to stick together the pieces that after you will see. And so he used to go to my young mother and ask him to help him. So they fall in love because of old ceramic. And then they get married, and they came to this house that was quite like is now, because it has been restored with the help of the government and the Ministry of Culture in Italy. So together they decided to stay here. He decided to collect ancient ceramics. She decided to be here and to start continuing her work in contemporary and old-fashioned reproduction of craft. So you will see that it is a double production. But let's go inside so that I will speak to you in front of the pieces and you won't see always my face. Please. So we enter as the vases of orange are used to go inside, because the vases of lemons and orange were decorating the garden during the Easter and springtime. And then in autumn, all the vases were conserved here. Now, we conserve ceramic. Hello, Antonietta. So let me present you Antonietta. She's
Hello,
with
Antonietta.
us.
It's lovely to meet you.
Antonietta ti
Buonasera,
salutano. She say hello to you, everybody. Welcome here. We are very happy to have you. As you can see, this is a special structure because it's like an open space. At the time when it was an orangery with the original function, there was a big 3-step stair, so that with the vases of the lemon trees were hanged and posed in 3 different levels. That's why the structure is like this, with big windows. Nowadays, of course, Antonietta, since how many time are you here? Quando sei arrivata qui, hai cominciato il tuo lavoro?
Sono arrivata nel 1976.
In 1976, she decided to move.
In laboratorio in Faenza.
And before she was, as I told you, in Faenza. So as you can see, and after we will ask something to you and we will speak together, but the first thing that I want to show you is this big show that matches together, as Marco said, a traditional production like this one. So you can see object for the table, for interiors, that after we will show you better, and all these shelves.
And this is made by hand by Antonietta.
Yeah, everything is made by hand by Antonietta, starting from the project and the drawing to the shaping of the sculptural part, that after we will see how it is done, because there are many ways for creating ceramic. For example, when you see the dishes and plates are done by molds, and then there is another way of creating by the wheel turning, that after we will see. So there are 2 kinds of work of Antonietta. One is the manufacture of classical edition and reproduction of ancient pieces that are collected in the Museum of Faenza. So the originals are in the museum. And Antonietta is well known in Italy and also in Europe for this capability of reproduce forms and historical decorations for actual uses, for the house, for your table, and then. She's very specialized also in personalization of services for the table, like with initials, with armors, with little landscape of houses and private villas. So people used, normally there are many people that are used to make wedding gift or services for the house and the table in this way. So this is the fame of her starting from the 80s. She is now, for example, producing for the Republic of Italy. When our government makes gifts in ceramic, she is the best craft maker that has been chosen for that. There are other, for example, with iron or wood, and then I show you, for example, a little object that is the gift of our Republic. As you can see, for example, this is Italian Republic. This is our crown, and this is an example of gift that she makes personalized, in this case for the country. But many families and privates or also factories decide to make their gifts or their object in this way. So this was the reason, and so we will make a question to Antonietta, speaking about this research, that it is a research about shapes and decoration. I just speak a second in Italian because she doesn't understand when I speak English. So Antonietta, iniziamo a parlare della tua produzione classica, how it became this passion for the story and for the research so precise that you are now doing since 40 years. Com'è nata questa passione per l'antico e per la classicità?
Sono rimasta affascinata dalle maioliche del nostro Museo Internazionale delle Ceramiche, essendo andata a scuola, ho iniziato la scuola internazionale di ceramica di Faenza a 11 anni. Quindi la prima formazione è stata quella di riprodurre le maioliche classiche
faentine. Okay, so she said that since she was a kid, Antonietta comes from a little village near Faenza, and her family were not rich, very simple, but since she was a kid, she loved the drawing, and his father, that loved a lot lyrical music and art, decided to use the few money that they had to pay the college for her, because when she started at 11, so at the time was impossible for her family to bring her from home to school every day. So they found a college for her, and they inscribed to this special art school. So she lived in this way from 11 years. Quando è finita la scuola?
Ho finito nel 1969,
Quanti anni
a
avevi?
18 anni.
Till 18 years, so 7 years of studies. And she said that this love for history and tradition and elegance of style from the Renaissance to the 18th century came when she was a kid. And going to this museum, the fascination that these pieces gave her pushed her in this kind of research.
Vorrei che riprendesse queste cose bianche, verdi. Questo vaso grande verde.
Yes, please.
Queste cose bianche.
Yeah. Please.
So she has two different practices. One is the reproduction, and one is
exactly
the creation of her own lines. Can you tell us a little bit more about what majollica is? Because it's a very specific.
Of course, Nicholas, follow me, please. Not
ceramic.
Follow me. So ceramic is a big family. So ceramic is different kind of materials that always involve earth, fire, and water. We know what is terracotta. We know it, for example, in Tuscany, when we see these big vases, magnific from outside. So this is the beginning, that is clay. When we speak about majollica, we speak about clay. As, for example, when we speak about porcelain, we speak about kaolino, that it is another kind of earth. In our region, in this territory, since the medieval age, we have a red clay, the same one of Tuscany. Majollica is a special process that involves this kind of clay, and it is the most difficult kind of producing ceramic in low temperature. It is very fragile, but it is also the most ancient kind of material of the story. This kind of ceramic has survived in times and centuries because water doesn't enter inside, and I tell you why. We start from clay. The technical process involves a block of fresh clay that can be worked in different ways, so with a wheel turning or with molds. Then when we have this piece of fresh clay, we wait it to dry, and then after we cook it, we get terracotta, the typical terracotta that I told you that we see so often and normally in Tuscany. For example, this vase is a terracotta vase. So this is terracotta. After we have, as the form and the shape is done, we have to prepare the decoration and the cover. So majollica defines himself by the glaze, so the coat that we put over the terracotta. So we wash it in a kind of a liquid that inside has sand, because the vitreous effect that we have, and it is so special about majollica, is done by glass, because the colors of this coat that you see, this green, for example, or the classical white of terracotta, of majollica, because majollica is worldwide known because of this white milky glaze. Well, this milky glaze has its transparency and is shine because of glass that is done by sand, that when it's cooked, there is a fusion that makes this glass, this shiny effect. And the color is done by colors that in majollica, colors are done by metals. For example, this beautiful green that has a different effect is done by copper. Copper makes the green. Or for example, the red colors that you have are another kind of mineral that is selenium. The yellow, I don't know if I translated it in the right way.
Do you add the metal to the sand and
Exactly.
it creates the, and then you cook it? Is there, so do you is it liquid? The
exactly. I wanted to keep the technical part of the process for the end, but if you like, we go directly. And so, no, but it's beautiful. We are so, there's no problem. But if you like to see now the process and the parts, we go directly to the studio and we come back to the showroom. Would you like to?
Yeah, that would be great. Let's do that.
Let's go.
Thank you.
No, prima c'è un'organizzazione fatta appositamente. Dopo arriviamo a tutto in contemporaneo. Ecco. So shortly we repeat what we said. So Nicholas, come please beside me and show the wheel turn. So I will do the potter today. So everything starts with a special
apron.
So we put, this is the typical potter wheel turner tools, because here lives Antonietta, her Japanese assistant that only makes decoration, and a guy that is the wheel turner. You see, you call it like that. So we sit on that. It is electrical nowadays. Before it was mechanical. Guarda me, non mi stai più lontano. Fai vedere qua. Firmalo di qua, Nicholas. So these are the normal tools. Normally there is a block of clay here that is fresh. When you push to this pedal, it starts turning very fast. With my hand, I start working, and then I create the object. With this kind of tools, I take off the clay in excess. And with this liquid, that is clay with water inside, if I need to stick or to glue some parts, I use it. Here there are typical tools to work with fresh clay, like this one.
Can you show us a little bit more slowly, because the image is a little breaker.
Thank you, because I don't see. These are examples of classical tools. These are carving tools, because, for example, if you have to make a relief or a graffiti effect, these are very comfortable. If you need to cut your object, you use a simple iron tool with 2 pieces of tissue. And then when the piece is finished, of course, clay is sticked to the wheel, and then tack, we make this effect with the stone, this metal object, in order, thank you, Lac, in order to cut it or to give him the dimension that we want. This is, for example, another object that we need to clean our working table. The sponges are very simple.
What is Antonietta's favorite tool?
Antonietta, qual è il tuo strumento preferito quando lavori con il tornio, con le forme? I tuoi strumenti preferiti?
Delle mani.
She said her hands, because, you know, there is something to say. Here it is like a Renaissance studio, so you have all the kind of tools and process that you can use. But she personally loves to design all the object that has to be create with a wheel turn, and then she asked to a special potter to come here and make it directly. So here you can see the project, and it's very fascinating to understand how it arrives. So she designed.
Can I just interrupt you? I just want to tell everybody, if you have questions, everybody, please put them in the chat box, and I will relay them to Viola and Antonietta. So don't hesitate to put all your questions in there, okay?
Okay, perfect. No, thank you, because you helped me. So, for example, this cup that you see, that has been done with the wheel turn, and then with the fingers, you obtain this effect of relief. Inside, it is a special kind of color. This color is done with iron, that's why it's red, and is a special pencil that they use to organize the geometry of this base. So these are all cups made with the wheel turn, but also with the second way of creating form, that is with mold. So for example, I show you an example. Molds are made with chalk. So Antonietta, she's mostly a sculptor, because the first example of the object that she wants to reproduce, she makes it by hand directly. Antonietta, ci fai vedere un oggetto creato da te a mano, scultura, così spieghiamo lo stampo. And then when the first prototype is done, she creates around a mold. This is an example. How do you, this is a lucky, I don't know how you call it, the one of St. Patrick.
The 4 leaves, you know, I don't know the English word either.
The lucky of St. Patrick for the Irish.
Clover.
Yes.
Clover,
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
So Antonietta creates by hand, like a sculpture, the first object. This is an object for the table and also decorative one. Then when she finished to create this first one in clay, the clay is cooked, as we said, so it becomes terracotta, like this one. And then she makes around the object like a kind of pool, because you see that is round. It's like a box where she put the object. She coil liquid chalk. Then the chalk becomes...
We're having a camera problem. Hang on. There's a camera issue there.
Yeah, we see Nicholas just, you know.
Sometimes the gimbal does.
Here we go. Yeah. Sorry.
Everything is crafted. So as you can see, this is the prototype. And then when you have created sempre più lontano che non mi riesco a, when you create this kind of box, okay, then after you can reproduce the same object by putting like a sheet of fresh clay. Then you put it in your in your mold, and then you have a series of objects that are identical and little series. Of course, Antonietta, she doesn't do big series because we speak about limited collections. So normally a cup like that you can see the same shape, the same effect is done in 5 exemplars maximum, because we only speak about limited edition. So in this collection, you can see the use of wheel turning, but also mold. The little leaf that you can see here are applied and comes from little molds. So every leaf is molded and then sticked with liquid clay done by pencil. You see here all these parts that are a bit white because clay sticks with liquid clay. It's incredible, but it has many, many possibilities. So we are now arrived to the second part of the process. We created a form. We created a form of wheel turning or making a mold. When we have our object in fresh clay, now we need to dry it. During this process of drying, that is very special, because we have to pay attention to the humidity that has to be regular. The object reduces its dimension of 10%. When it is completely dried, then we put it in the kiln and we make the first cooking. The first cooking gives us an object of this material. So from the gray clay, fresh, it transformation of the fire at 800 degrees and it becomes terracotta. Then what happens? Now we are going in majollica.
Viola?
Yeah.
It's just to give a sense that it is, I mean, 800 degrees to us is very hot, but in fact, in the ceramic world, it's a very low temperature. How does it compare to other? Yeah,
so the lower temperature is the one for gold, for silver, and for shiny effect. That is normally the third firing kiln. Then 800 degrees is the second low temperature for majollica, because after all the other kind of ceramic that are the ones that we know and are well known worldwide because of their utility and practical way, like porcelain, earthenware, are cooked at 1200 degrees till 1400 degrees for the big sculpture that need to stay outside, because the difference is a matter of internal composition. So the more there is metal inside the clay or the kaolin, the more you need to fire it at high temperatures, so the fusion is complete and there are no problem. If, for example, with the rain, if outside is very cold, because when the temperature is lower, we can use beautiful colors because the fire is gentle, so we can have brighter and shinier color. So majollica has beautiful yellows, greens, orange, incredible. When you go, for example, on higher temperature, like grass earthenware, it has the number of colors and the variety of shapes and the nuance that we can have is limited, because a high temperature of fusion burns colors, so they are different. But any ceramic for his specific use, it depends what you have to do. Normally, sculpture in majollica is very difficult to do, because when you go to big dimension, then becomes difficult because of the structure that is not so strong. But for dishware, tables, element for interior design, really there you can have a beautiful effect. Also because the difference between majollica and porcelain is also that porcelain is beautifully transparent, but is cold, in the sense that the surface is perfectly, you see that is not handmade, because normally it's made by mold and is liquid. When you see majollica, you see that the coat, the skin over the piece is really like milk, so it's touchy. You need to touch it and to see, because it's not regular. Like the hands of the wheel turner, they make that shows the passing of the hand. This is really the difference, and also the thickness. Majollica is thicker than porcelain and other kind of ceramic. So
can you ask Antonietta? Sorry, Varla, can you ask Antonietta, for example, what inspired her when she made these bowls that have the thumbprint in it, the fingerprint? Where does she find her inspiration?
Antonietta, dove hai trovato l'ispirazione per realizzare queste ciotole, per esempio, con questi riflessi o questa collezione di ciotole?
Ma sono rielaborazioni di forme classiche, riprodotti in chiave contemporanea, con i colori contemporanei, ispirandomi dalle forme antiche, classiche, romane, neoclassiche.
Well, she starts looking to Romans, ancient Roman shapes and classical forms, or the forms of the Renaissance. So she makes like a decomposition and reconstruction of a alphabet of elements, like, as you can see, queste foglie per esempio, da dove provengono? Where does come from this inspiration?
Guardando le forme classiche, neoclassiche, invece queste sono manici di coppe compendiarie, di tasse compendiarie che le ho usate per fare le basi
So she reconstruct new shapes using different elements of historical forms. For example, this feet of these bowls were at the time handle of little cup used in the Renaissance period. At the museum you have cups that has these elements like handles, and now they are transformed like in octopus feet and base for the cup. Or these leaves this comes from Roman columns and Roman vases, and also neoclassical vases at the time of Napoleon that were used to elevate big vases for the garden. And then she took the same idea, but transforming it into a decoration in relief for the base of this cup.
Are they acanthus? Are they acanthus leaves?
She also uses acanthus leaves. These are not acanthus leaves. Queste che foglie sono? Non è acanto, no, questo? No. Che tipologia di foglie sono queste?
Foglie neoclassiche, non so.
This is the evolution of the acanthus leaf, that is the one of the classical Greek and Roman style, that in the neoclassical period, so in the beginning of the 19th century, they become more synthesized and rational, and it is laurum, Marco?
Sì.
Laurum is Latin.
Yeah, I think it's laurum, yeah.
Okay, so it translated well, great. It is the same as Latin. So yes, this is laurum. That is still an historical leaves that is also symbolic of eternity and of poetry.
You are mute, we can't hear you.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, here we are. So
there was a question about one last question about the bowls. What color are they going to be finished in?
Di che colore diventeranno queste? Come le finirai queste ciotole?
Saranno bianche con le foglie d'oro, zecchino.
This will be white with gold leaves.
Oppure blu con questi elementi in oro.
This one will be cobalt blue with the golden feet.
Tutti, oppure verde.
Another variation will be green and golden fishes.
Oppure rosso bordeaux.
Or dark red with golden leaves. You like? You like? Yeah.
Queste invece vengono turchese.
This one will be, on the contrary, like washed with a watercolor kind of glaze that will be
turquoise.
Turquoise, thank you, Marco, with a golden feet. But I will just show you an example, because these are elements that complete a collection of pieces. This is the kind of glaze that will, you can stay there, we'll come back. This is the same idea of fingertips that she did last year in 10 exemplars, because she makes little editions and then she stops. She has an idea, she makes a collection and then finished. And you can see that this kind of glaze is very special because it's super liquid and she matches 2-3 colors. So you have this kind of watercolor effect. You see the, like,
it's beautiful.
Like tears. So the same effect is the one that she will get with the cups. The red that Antonietta told you was this one. This is an acanthus leaves, like the one at the base of the column. It's the same idea of reconstruct a contemporary object using elements of ancient times. And this is...
Can you show us, would we be able to see how the color is applied?
Of course, yeah, we were just, no, let's go back to the studio to see the decoration part of the process.
The colors are amazing.
Yeah, the color, because but this is the force of majollica, the colors, because thanks to this light temperature, you can have beautiful colors. So the second part is the decoration. We arrive to get our shape. We have a shape that is in terracotta. In the moment of choosing which kind of color we want to get. So all the total color as we saw before, or a white base because we want to decorate it. Anyway, we have to wash inside a glassy liquid our object. She has, like in the medieval time and in the Renaissance period, non venire troppo vicino, okay. So we have pots, stai un po' lontano, grazie. And so she washes, she mixes everything with the special tools that are the one that nowadays they use in hospital. We keep the pieces. An object like that. Normally, we have to pay attention because it's very important not to leave traces of what we have done, because ceramic and majolica more has the memory of the error that you do. So, stammi sempre un po' lontano. So we keep it. Oh, don't worry, Antonietta. She's frightening about what I'm doing now. She's trembling. So I take my object like this. Antonietta, come beside me. Come here. Come here. She's very elegant today because she didn't want to show herself like a potter, but I did for her. So now when you are ready, you wash it. You count 1, 2, 3, and then you take it off. Then she dries in really 3 seconds, and you can touch it. And then you pose it. Dove lo appoggi? Facci vedere. No, non sei fatto vedere. You pose it on a sponge normally, so that you can take off the glaze that is on the feet, because this glaze has glass. So if I cook it, this part will stick on my kiln. So I really need to clean on a sponge. Okay? So I have terracotta here, it doesn't stick on my kiln. The object is ready for the decoration, or if I wanna have it of one color, I can wash it on red color and then I cook it. So this is the effect when I have done this part of glazing. I show you something. My finger is white because this liquid, when it dries in 5 seconds, becomes like a velvet effect, but also like powder. It's a powder, but I can paint on that. I show you how, because the ceramic majolica process is exactly the same of the affresco painting, like Leonardo, for example, in Milan for the Last Supper. Which was the way of working? The way of working was to draw on a big piece of paper, a big transparent or not. In ceramic, we need the transparency. In walled affresco, not. But anyway, we make a synopia. We make our drawing, we design, we draw our decoration, and then with a needle, we make holes in order to get a trace. You can see it? Can you see?
Yeah.
All the little holes?
Yes.
Voila. So that when you arrive to get that, okay, I do it here. Then I pose it on my object that is glazed. Antonietta, show us an example. Fantastic. Thank you. You see this the drawing with the little dot. She takes a special tool.
So the glaze is not hard by then?
No.
Oh, I see. Or you put the it's like the embroidery.
Exactly, but it is a trace.
Yeah.
The little hose, she pushes this object that is this. You see this little tissue.
It's like graphite, yeah.
Yeah, but inside there is a carbone, Marco.
A carbon graphite, like a pencil.
Yeah.
Carbon.
Yeah, this part, carbon powder, that when you tac tac tac, it leaves. Lo sto traducendo. Leaves the trace, and then with the pencil and the colors, now you can do your decoration. So this is when you want to decorate something that is like symmetrical or is very difficult, so that you cannot do it by freehand. If you want to work with freehand, then directly you take your pencil and your color and you make your free decoration.
And this viola is the same way they used to do it since the Renaissance, correct?
Exactly, because Antonietta, we are in your studio, and on the wall we see special objects that we want to ask you where they come from. If you can see around us, Marco and our guest, you will see little panels on chalk with little fragments. Can you see it, Nicola? Show them many. These are the fragment that I told you at the beginning. So from the escape of ancient ceramic, every style from the Renaissance to 2 centuries ago are the example for Antonietta to reproduce shapes and the right colors and the right way of drawing and painting on ceramic. If you like, I tell you which kind of period we are in front of. Sure. It's like a little museum. So let's start from the medieval age. In the medieval age, we have few colors. So one is the copper, the green, and the brown one is the manganese. As you can see, the drawings are very simple, the designs, so are mostly geometrical, but very graphic, so also very actual too. And nowadays are very sellable and interesting because the power of this simplicity is still very interesting. So this is an object, for example, for drinking water and wine, because at the time, you know, the most popular objects were cup for the table, or carafe. I cannot. I don't.
Like a jar, like a small jar.
Thank you. Yeah. Then this is the one style of medieval age, and this is the second style of medieval age. That is the graffiti way. You see that here, when the clay is still fresh and you already have done your form with a needle or carving tools that I showed you before, you can create the form. This is like a bird with the face of a girl. This is an eagle with the crown. That is a symbol of the king that at the time from Austria and Germany was ruling over Italy. Here you can see amore, it is love, because in the medieval time, ceramic was also gift as a symbol of prosperity, trust, love, friendship. Symbols are protagonists of this period, or geometrical decoration. Then after, when we arrive to...
Viola, yeah. Viola, did the, at the time, did the concept of the dowry exist? So you would as a woman, when you get married, you would bring to the marriage, you know, linen and all that, but would you also bring ceramic and pieces of majollica like that? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly the men. Was tradition that was the men that were, when the family decided to that this love was organized, and in 1 year the wedding were programmed. Then the first gift were done by the man to the woman, and was a symbol that I can show you because are beautiful and are the symbol of heart. And the man said to the woman, "I give you my heart." Or friendship, when a friendship was done by families, they gifted themselves cups, because cups is always a symbol of prosperity and community, of circularity, 2 hands together. And this was the symbol of alliance and friendship. So every symbol was for a different time in life. So for marriage, love, friendship, when your first kid was born, was a tradition to gift the woman with a special object, or when a family get married, then they were used to make their services of dishes with the initial of the family of him, or with the armor of him, or if she was aristocratic, then the 2 armors or the 2 initials. So yeah, still nowadays it does continue in Italy. So around us are different kind of decoration and objects that you also can see reproduced by Antonietta. Would you like to see the firing part, so we finish the process?
So can we go back? So okay, so she's put the glazing on the piece, then she's done the drawing, and she applies the color with a pen, with a brush. So she mixes the color on the side and she just paints on it.
And yes, Antonietta, ci fai vedere un secondo anche un po' di pennello, i colori? Te lo faccio vedere io. So simply what needs a potter when is the moment of decorating. So a simple tile nowadays, before there was also little panels, never wood because it absorbs, but marble, for example, is a typical material that is good for decorating, or ceramic tile. The color are in powder, because as we said before, comes from metals and from sand that of course are prepared and the powder, but then we put water inside in order to have
Does
a
she
liquid.
prepare her own? Does she prepare her own powder?
Yeah, because no, of course you can find already done colors if you want to buy it, but you would never arrive to get your colors. So for example, in order to copy this orange, or to have a very dark blue, or a color that has to be identical to the historical one, you need the chemistry knowledge that she has, because she makes her colors and she also makes her glazes. Antonietta is very well known because of these color glazes, like the green that you saw before, or the total red, or these ones. And these are typical historical colors that she's quite the only one that still is able to do it, because we don't have nowadays all this variety of composition as also 20 years ago, I think. Antonietta, i tuoi colori li hai sempre realizzati da sola?
Sì, li scelgo io.
And also what is interesting, she never uses both colors, and she makes her own colors. She also has like an archive of fragments with all her proofs, because when you want to, you have in your mind a color, then you have to create many proofs. Ci fai vedere qualche piccola prova di colore? We show you the way that she makes proofs. Anyway, so color is like that. You put on water if you want it more intense or not, then is a matter of color. Normally we put a bit of color here, and then we prepare it like that. If you want, I show you how a potter paints, but just the position, the posture. This is the place of her assistant. She's Japanese, from Tokyo, Miyuki Mikiaki. No, non dipingo. So the way, why the table is so close to this wheel turning. Another object turning is the one for decorating, because if I have to, thank you, potter for a day, okay? So your one hand decorates, the other hand helps the first one of being perfectly posed, so in this way normally, or in this way, so your left arm helps the right one to paint and stay perfectly. I can do it. Can I do it? Do you want to do it?
Non so cosa devo fare.
Provi a fare un dipintino, lo faccio io, okay? So for example, as you can see, I'm horrible. So water is not enough. So I
Can Antonietta do it? She doesn't want to do it?
No, because today she's so elegant and she's a bit Antonietta, work a bit for us, because like, show us just one painting. Thank you. Non tirare. Adesso we are curious, because nowadays just a sign that doesn't understand. Okay, great. So she show us why. Okay, wait, turn. So now she makes a circular effect. So turning, continuing to turn.
Questo è come si fa a fare i filetti.
Voila, that's the way for making filetti, what we call filetti, that is a circular line continuing and graduating color. Voila.
Voila. Amazing.
The patience it takes is amazing.
Yeah, and Zizi seems a simple shape thing when she does those very intricate decoration from the Renaissance and from the 17th century.
Okay,
I mean,
perfect.
It's incredible.
Yeah, this is a very simple example. She's doing something very elementary. But anyway, you have an idea. You see that the water is more and more and more. The less is color. At the center, you see that this color is more concentrated. And when you put more water into your color, that you have this effect of nuance. Voila.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to go back to the showroom and see more pieces, Isabel?
Sure. Why don't we do that? We've got 5 minutes left.
Yeah,
okay.
Torniamo nello showroom.
So now you understood the process and you can see the best pieces and collection of this year. So the new pieces are this one that are Antonietta. She collects peony and flowers. So the botanical part of her interest is gone into the ceramic. So pieces like this one, that is, questa è una peonia. That's a peony, for example. This is a sculpture object. The peony is done by hand, and then the box is done by wheel turning. So you can see that botanic flowers, roses, these are other kind of flowers that gives to the object a sculptural and a functional way. So you can use it like a sculpture, but you can also put flowers and take off this part, like this one.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's got. I think they love the green. I think those leaves.
The green, yeah, the leaves are beautiful. Stai un po' più indietro che altrimenti non si riesce a capire.
Sì, un po' più.
This, for example, are leaves. Every piece is made by hand and is a unique piece because she makes it really freshly, and it's very difficult to get this natural way of doing. So this, for example, is the wine leaf. And look at this.
Carry on.
Ruche.
Look at that ruche. Yeah.
This is a vase for the table. This is now Antonietta is on show at the Museum of Design in Milan. It is Triennale in Milano. It is a big exhibition organized by Design Ugo La Pietra and about vase. And so this vase, for example, has been selected, and also this one. This is another homage to Britain, as you can recognize the flowers.
Can we talk a little bit about what happens in? I mean, these are all beautiful objects in their own right, but they are representative of a lifestyle and also of what happens at the table in Europe in particular, when the table is a very important element in the house. The meal is a very important moment in the lifestyle, and having beautiful objects on your table to decorate it, or having plates that are decorated. Can you tell us a little bit the cultural aspect of this in Italian culture, having these beautiful objects in your home, on your table, interacting with them, and why is that important?
Firstly, it's important because we don't have a unique meal. So normally our meal is composed by different kind of food. So we have a starter, we have a first food that is pasta. So we need a special dish for that. And then we have the second let me say food, that is, we call it the second part, that is meat or fish with legumes. So we need different dishes and accessories on the table to have this dinner and supper that is done in 3 or 4 steps. So for example, here I show you an example of our table, because Antonietta is very specialized in that. So you can see that you have 3 different dishes. We need another one here. So for example, this is an entree So antipasti, at the beginning, we normally are used to have an aperitivo at the table. So also 3 different glasses. One is for bubbles. And then you have your little canapé, tartine, or tuolis, or a little beginning. Then we pass to a kind a dish for pasta that is, I don't find the exact shape, but it's a dish that has a convex, that is more.
It's like a small bowl.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like a bowl. I wanted to find you an object, but I found you later. Anyway, it's okay. You understood it. And then here you can put pasta, and sometimes pasta is also liquid, like a soup. So this special dish is perfect for that. And then, or this kind of shape. This is more contemporary, but has the same function, because we need to have soup or pasta inside. Then the second part of the dinner or the lunch involves meat, fish with legumes. So this is the second step that is similar to the one of the beginning. And then there is another dish that is the decorative part, is the base. We call it sottopiatto, under dish. The under dish normally is bigger, water, has a great decoration, because the harmony when you eat in Italy is very important, to have harmony for your eyes. So not only the dishes and the bowls and glasses are important. Something very important is the center table. The center of the table in Italy has always a composition, a special composition. This is starting from the Renaissance, oftenly involving gardens and the architecture of the gardens. For example, this is a center table that you put in the middle of your table. And as you can see, it reminds you of the architecture of Belvedere, of the gardens in Italy. So simply you can put water inside, simple flowers. Is something that you can, vieni da su che lo vediamo meglio. You can compose yourself, you can do it yourself. So simply little table, you can have only one. Big table, you can put more. So I show you how it does complex when you arrive to more important center table. This is another kind of center table that it is the copy of an Italian garden style, the one that you have with labyrinth and bushes perfectly cutted. So these are the statues, the little vases that you can put water or not, or just a big flower, or a little composition.
Viola,
yeah.
The plates that you showed us, I assume, don't go to in the dishwasher, do they?
Yeah, it does, because since 10 years, the potters of Faenza, Antonietta was the one to do, arrived to organize it and to wash the glaze. Covers all the surface, because the problem before was that the terracotta were visible, and when there is a hole and it is not all glazed, then it breaks. In this case, not, because it's completely washed. So, for example, she works like another manufacturer very well known, that is Richard Ginori. Richard Ginori, that is a typical manufacturer in Florence. And she works like them, in the sense that it is a low temperature, very precious, but also you can put it in your dishwasher. An example, very simple, are the mugs, something very contemporary, simple, but still has a personalization of yourself, so your initial, with the blue of the tradition, but in a contemporary way, with a simple use, or the cups for the breakfast, as you can see.
I was asking about the dishes first, because it's very practical, but also I was talking this week to a writer and also a Canadian TV personality called Laura Calder, and we were talking about dishes, and she said, you know, doing the dishes by hand is actually a way to reconnect with your things and to appreciate them more, because you have that tactile connection with the object. And it's also a moment where you go you go back to what happened during the dinner party, and it's really the important element of a craft object, is that it has all these elements.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, in effect, as I don't see if you can see the reflex of this circle, this glaze, and this circular effect of the wheel turning that is made by hand, this dish. In fact,
Right.
what you said is very right. You see these little holes. These are the point where in the kiln the dish stands without without having problems, so that you can push it in your and wash it. Yeah, these are different kind of collection. Thank you.
So I just want to, unfortunately, we're arriving almost at the end of our tour. I just want to check. Thank you so much. Please thank Antonietta for us. Are there any questions? Marco, you're going to let us know where we can buy, because I think that there's a lot of interest.
Sure, sure. Just you go on my contact details, and you can share with the group, and we'll be happy to assist, both for pieces which are already made, but also for bespoke tableware, or, you know, that it was Antonietta, she's got like a very broad series of decor that you can choose, and dimension or size, all that can be ordered bespoke and created.
Yeah, Marco, today was very difficult to show all the different decoration and shapes of for the table, but we all have, of course.
Yeah, we have all the catalog. Yeah. You see the production of Antonietta is very broad. I will share photos and images of both the classical production and the more contemporary sculpted ones. There are different sizes, shapes, clearly price ranges. So it's very, very varied. Fantastic. And functional things, beautiful things. And this is a collection she did for Easter. I think they're like they're like incredible. These broken eggs with real gold inside is such an idea. And you know, think of an Easter table, for example, is just mesmerizing and funny as well, and very gracious.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Please thank Antonietta for us, and also the Nicola, who did a great job on the camera. Marco, thank you again for
Antonietta, ti ringraziamo.
Sì, Antonietta, fatti vedere, vieni in camera.
Guarda che ti saluta.
Grazie infinite, spero di vedervi in Italia.
I hope to see you soon. You're welcome in our house for a visit, she said, and it's a pleasure.